My name's David Miller. I was E5. I was a sergeant with the 1st and 69th Infantry, New York Army National Guard, Company C, 42nd Division. And on the morning of 9/11, I was one of thousands of other first responders who went down to the pile in rescue attempts of the victims of 9/11, which we've now become as well. And on the morning of 9/11, I was going to work, and my wife called me on my cell phone. I'd gotten married. My wife called me. We were together for 6 years now. And she said that an airplane hit the World Trade Center. I said, yeah, okay, that sounds terrible. What do you want me to do? And she said, no, you don't understand, it's a big airplane. I said, no shit, really? Like a real big airplane? She said, yeah, it's on fire. I was thinking, damn, how can an airplane hit the World Trade Center? And about, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 minutes later, she called me and said another airplane hit the World Trade Center. I said, stay in the house, and I went running home, and I got my uniform on. And I pulled out a pair of clippers, and I buzzed my hair. And I kissed her, and I said, stay in the house. And I went running down, literally running. I think this was the last time that I really ran. About 2.5 miles to the Kingsbridge Armory. And other guys were there already. And my first sergeant said, mount up, we're going in. 30 minutes later, we started going on to the pile. Between this time, the second building had come down, and we had gotten a good portion of that plume. And we marched onto the pile. And there's no way to really describe what it looked like. There weren't any whole corpses that I saw. Everything was really, really, really badly destroyed. There wasn't any furniture in peace. There were fires everywhere. There were cars burning. It was horrible and horrendous. And if you want to really understand what the pile looked like, I'm not the one to talk to, because it's not something I want to go into. It was a war zone. Any war zone you want to think of magnified times 10, and that was ground zero. It was really beyond belief. Things I will talk about, the fires. There were fires everywhere. And we started helping the fire department, grabbing hoses, moving rubble, picking up body parts. And that's what we did for the next 10 days.
Give me a kiss. I got a new 9/11 responder, so don't be yelling. Who is it? Do I know him?
Alan Forcier is a former NYPD undercover narcotics detective. As much as you feel comfortable with, you tell me kind of what it was like down at Ground Zero.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. You know, I really don't like talking about it. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't nice. You know, it was morbid. That's all you could say. You know, the cloud, the smoke, everything. You know, it was just. No one had masks. No one had nothing. You know, it was just chaos, total chaos. It looked like, you know, it looked like war. That's all you could say. It wasn't nice. I was down there that evening, later on that night, for a few hours. And I was called back. And I was down there like 2 out of the next 3 days for a few hours. It was an undercover, so they pulled us out of there. They didn't want us down there because of the media, the cameras, and the media exposure. And then within the next week or so, they put us in the Staten Island landfill. We went through that stuff at the landfill by hand, not by just walking around. We went through it by hand. We moved stuff by hand. That stuff was on our glove. We wore gloves, yes, but we had masks after a while, yes. We had 12-hour shifts. You don't leave those masks on for 12 hours. You got to eat. You're sweating. You got to take that thing off, catch some air, because you can't breathe right with those things on you. Itch. You got to go like this. The stuff gets on you. As you can hear me wheezing. I'm on a lot of medication. I have, approximately 20-something pills a day, 3 inhalers. Constantly tired. I sleep a lot. Very winded. Say the more and more I talk, the more and more winded I'm getting. It's not good. It's horrible. It just never ends. It's getting worse and worse as the days go on. The breathing, the tiredness. My heart's pumping at a percentage of 36%. It's just the blood flow. And that affects the breathing also, besides the condition of the lungs. My lung capacity is at 59% right now.
My guys started coming in. A few of them couldn't stop throwing up. It's a sign of poisoning. New York State Department of Health didn't send in a toxicologist. We asked 3 times. I asked my first sergeant 3 times, and I know he went up to chain of command. He asked 3 times. Has New York State EPA given a clear sign? Should we mop up? Now, we had mop gear with us. Mission-oriented protective posture. No one leaves the armory without an M17A2 protective mask. It's a full respirator. You can walk into sarin gas with that fucking thing on. And just the smoke alone coming off the pile from all those fires. It sounds like I'm talking in a circle, but I'm not. Remember all those fires I was telling you about? A lot of those were from cars. Do you know what gasoline fires do to your body? Breathing in burning gasoline does to your body. It fucks you up badly. It makes your alveoli burst. Airborne. Oh.
The next first responder I met was Kevin McPadden, an ex-US Army Air Force Reserve medic.
Dogs were moaning because of breathing in the dust. The dogs were in pain. The search dogs. I believe it was this one right here. I slept on this bench. I shoveled it all out. And I slept. This bench was covered with dust up to here. And I shoveled it all out and I covered it with wool blankets and I slept there. And I remember just watching that clock across the river. Dave is a very brave man. He doesn't credit himself nearly enough. You know, he was a sergeant, a buck sergeant down there. He was in charge of a good amount of men. When I got absorbed, I was part of his unit's medical support. There was downtime and we were getting some rest. And Dave came running into the base camp over in Manhattan College. And he's like, we got a mission, we got a mission. He's screaming on top of his lungs. And everybody hopped to, got up and we get in formation. And Dave was right up in there in the front of formation. And they let us out. The officers let us out. They marched us up to the buildings that we had to evacuate. And it was like, we were getting involved in this and that and this and that. And then we turn around and the heads are spinning and there's no officers. There's no leaders. We're like, huh? So we were like, well, what do we do? Well, we got to do something. And I was like overwhelmed and mind boggled by it. And it was like Dave just was like bing, bang, boom, freaking came out. He was like, knew all the plans, what to do. He's like, everybody, 1, 2, 1, 2, all the 1s over here, all the 2s over there, separate into here, two nurses per team, 1 doctor per team. And he just fell right into play like a watch. By 2004, I'm obviously sick. I can't get out of bed many days. I can't breathe. I'm vomiting. And by 2004, people are starting to talk about there's something wrong with the first responders. 2004, I go to my doctor. I've got some lung obstructions. I've got maybe I got some real damage from 9/11. Let me figure out what I can do here. And I start investigating it, and by 2005, I'm diagnosed with asbestosis. It took me almost a year to get diagnosed. I got diagnosed with asbestosis. 2006, I get diagnosed with mesothelioma, lung cancer.